Okay, so now that we've made the templates, or rather not the templates, the actual, well, we've cut out the body of the bag. The next thing to figure out is what we're going to do with this lid and how we're going to fasten it to the main body. So in my design I had two straps that will kind of get put onto it, and then have 2 cm buckles or 3/4 inch buckles on the bottom. So let's do something like that. So it looks like this. Now that's great, but if I put two of them kind of in the center like that, that kind of covers it up and it doesn't look that great. So what I thought of is maybe moving these off to the side, which frees up the center space for me to create another kind of signature piece that goes right in the middle, much like the piece that went onto the leather apron. So I actually have another one here that I haven't put onto anything, but kind of essentially something like that. And these straps would go about halfway up. This ruler here kind of signifies where the fold in the lid would be. So about halfway up, so about 5 cm, that's where the straps are. And then bring that one at the bottom as well. So this strap is what? This one is 15 centimeters. I think that would be a good length, especially if we mount the bottom strap down here. So that's 15 centimeters. Now the other strap, which would technically be holding the buckle, so we're going to need a strap like this, and then this one going through it. So let's say looks like that, looks like that, so not too big, but let's say about this much. So we're looking at something that is 3.5, so 7 centimeters, 7 by 2 centimeters, I believe. No, this is 2.5 by almost 15. Yeah, this is 2.5 by 15, and the other one would be 2.5 by 7. So let's make those straps, shape them a little, punch some holes, and get that going. I decided that also for these straps, I don't think there's a need to make them from a thicker leather. I'll use the same thickness, and we'll go from there. Alright, so for the straps, I have some of the scraps left over from cutting the main pieces, and we're going to cut them out of here. So this line is definitely straight. I mean, does it follow the straightness here? Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm going to use my strap cutter to cut 2.5 centimeter length off of that. First of all, let's cut this off. Okay, so that's the straps. Now let's punch some holes in them and shape them up so we know how to sew them on. So if you don't have one of those oblong hole punches, the way I make these holes is I literally just do a hole, a normal round hole on either end, and then just cut through with the knife. So here's how it's done. So 2 holes. Just nice and steady. Alright, and just smooth it out a little bit. That's it. And the way these work is you put the little pin through, actually it's the way. And put the rest of it over, flip it around. There we go. This is going to get sewn together and onto the face of the bag. And then these pieces get hole punched and go through like this. That's it. So let's put some holes on these guys. Or actually, we'll hold off on the holes. We'll just shape the ends to be English points. Again, I don't have English point punches, but the easiest way to do that is just literally draw the curve you want and cut it up. Alright, so after making all the straps, this is kind of what it's looking like. We're going to mount these about 5.5 centimeters in, or 2 centimeters from the edge here. So this will be like that, about 2 centimeters, and then about 3 centimeters up or 7 centimeters down on the top. And then the bottom guys end up being placed in like this. So I'll make sure that's mounted high enough so that this edge comes right in line with the the bottom of the lid. Okay, so these are pretty much done. I just have to do a bit more measurement on where to put the holes. Once that's done, or these are pretty much good for getting starting to get dyed and shaped. Now next, before we move on to the other strapping, is let's cut out these pieces so that I have them ready for carving. Okay, so now we're back down at the bike to check out how we're actually gonna do the strapping for the bag, our bags. So this is kind of the body of the bag, right? And since it's going to be replacing the side panels, it should sit right about that height in terms of the inner piece, which allows us to wrap around on this piece. Now that would mean we have the bag like so, and we're going to have strapping that kind of goes through this and attaches inside the bag. So we're measuring for two things. One, where the strapping will be in regards to the bag itself, and also how long of a strap do we need. So on top, it looks like first position is right about here, which is about 10 centimeters in. Kind of to show you guys, on the side we have to feed it through here so that we can attach it on the bag. That's the top spot, and the bottom spot will probably be around here somewhere. So in terms of the bag position, that looks like it's right on, still on the top flat piece. So we'll measure, that looks about 2.5 centimeters up from there as well. So let's assume that the top is kind of there, and we're doing, yeah, 7.5 centimeters. So the whole top part is 10 centimeters. So yeah, right about 7.5. Okay, that's good. All right, so then the second strap here, we have it right around here. Now that puts it just below that and quite a bit in, so I'll need to measure that on the back side to see where that fits. But let's write down the other numbers and continue measuring. Alright, so I measured things out. Pretty much the bottom two straps are gonna be 25 centimeters down, and this one is further in, so this is at 10 centimeters, this one is almost right at the edge, so it's at 2.5 centimeters. And then it wraps about. The further ones at the top, these I measured out. This one I believe is a little bit different than this one, where this one was 15 centimeters down, this one is 13, and this one's 5 in, and this one is, I believe, 12 in. So fairly, almost symmetrical, but pretty spot on. The idea is that the material on the back of the bag, if I'd say that's the back of the bag, we're going to see the strap coming out, if it's for the top ones, coming out kind of like so, just sticking out from like two different holes like that, so that, I mean, I can pull that out from the bottom hole and then wrap it around, feed it through the other hole, and then use the buckle inside the bag to tighten things. That way I can pull the bag as close as possible to the motorcycle without worrying about the buckles getting undone and any of that funny stuff. For now, we're assuming the other side is pretty much symmetrical. Yeah, I think it's a pretty safe assumption to do that. And yeah, so I just gotta go upstairs and draw up some of the straps I'm gonna need. I don't think the straps need to be very long, because you can see these ones, these scraps that I have are quite long, and then if you actually tighten it, it's not too tight. It's quite okay. So we'll see how that, obviously there's going to be a space between the two holes that the strap comes out of, and it's going to be like that. So give it a little extra so you can actually pull it on the inside, and that'll be that. So yeah, let's go right down these measurements and start cutting some straps. Alright, so after measuring the straps on positioning for the back of the bag on the bike, I figured those out, and I'm going to map those to the back of the actual bodies of the bag and update my template. But now let's actually cut out the straps. In terms of how long of a strap I will need, I think I'm not going to actually need anything longer than 20 centimeters. So 20 centimeters being something about yay long, because it will wrap around the frame and then tuck into the bag and essentially anchor against the bag as much as possible. So that gives it quite a bit of distance to even mount away from the bag. So 20 centimeters should be plenty of distance. Now in terms of the width of it, I'm going to be using 3/4 inch buckles, slightly different than these ones. There will be ones that kind of have the additional metal part at the end, so you can kind of feed the strap through and then tuck it under. Next one. But in terms of width, about the same. So the 3/4 inch is about 19 millimeters. So we're going to cut the strips to be 18 millimeters by 20 centimeters. So 1.8 centimeters by 20 centimeters. So let's use the strap cutter to get strap at 18. There we go. So that's our 6 straps. So 2 for the top of the bag, 2 for the left side, and 2 for the right side. Okay. Alright. and now we just gotta update the template and start preparing for carving, hole punching, and maybe we should check out the colors. Alright, we're down at the bike. I've taken the template with me and I've cut out the holes for the straps on it just so I can measure out how it will fit before I decide to cut the leather and figure out that it may not work. So what we're going to do now is I'm literally going to take this, place it, oh it's actually a little wet, this way, here, run the straps through it, see how they connect to the frame. We're going to mock up also the lid, and we're going to see how that sits. If it's good, then we're good for next steps. So let's see how that mocks up. Alright, seems like my calculations for the length of these are pretty spot on. The only ones that are kind of underestimated is obviously the top ones. So if we were to fold that over and try to stick it through the hole there, it's clearly not enough to put a buckle on and loop in. So I'll probably need to make these another, what, 10 centimeters longer or so. Same with the one here. This one actually needs to be a little bit longer, so maybe another 10 or 15 centimeters on this one. This one is a little on the short side, it seems, so we'll probably extend that. So that leaves 3 out of the 6 that are good. Now this is good because I actually didn't cut out the other 6 for the other side. So that means that these 3 that I have that are short, I'll reuse for the other side. And I'll need to cut 3 new ones that are at least 15 centimeters longer. We'll cut them 15 centimeters longer and then I'll shorten them if I need to. Okay, perfect. So that's actually going to sit like this and wrapped in like that. So perfect. Okay, that's it. Alright guys, that was it for this episode. We got the strapping and the mounting points measured out for the bags. Now I just need to cut out a few extra straps just to make sure that they're the right length and also to have enough to do the other bag. So make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications, and check me out on Instagram as well as my website at balkanmoto.com. In the next episode, we're going to be looking at carving the leather, marking it for and hole punching it for stitching, and dyeing. So then that will leave us with pretty much everything ready to be assembled into the final episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Alright, so in terms of colors, I got some more different brown dyes. So I don't know how well the camera will pick this up, but you can see this is a light brown, which is the stuff that I've been using so far. That's what the apron was dyed with. So you can kind of see it's a little bit more orangey. And we have dark brown, which gets into like more of kind of like what the leather will look like. Once this ages, it kind of becomes more like that. And then we have chocolate, which is even more dark, and you can see it's kind of got some nice pull to it. So this is actually a piece from the same leather that I've been experimenting with. And in terms of straps, what I first did was these 4 big pieces here are essentially from the same leather, but I over-dyed them. So I put way too much dye. So you can see this is chocolate and this is dark brown, and they look almost identical. For comparison, this is black, and you can kind of see it's very different. But then I dyed some thicker pieces of leather that I didn't saturate so much, so now they kind of match more with the actual color. So this being the light brown, the dark brown, and the chocolate. So what I'm thinking is that this is probably the closest color, the dark brown, to the seat color. I'll have to go downstairs to check, but I think that might be the color that we're going to use for the entire bags. This is far too orangey, so I don't think I'm going to go with that. And this seems too ashy and like gray. So I definitely want the bags to have some of that brown color to them to match the seat and the handlebars. And if this actually matches well, then I can definitely use that color for then making the handlebar grips, which would end up being kind of like this, right? And I can stamp them with some sort of colors and whatnot, or patterns and whatnot. And they will obviously, because I'm going to be holding it, that's going to age nicely. It's going to discolor differently. This color, the chocolate, I think is great, but perhaps for a different color combination or different projects, I think it will make a really good color for like wallets, perhaps, or some other leather goods. Either way, another color to just experiment with. So I think for now we're going to go with dark brown straps and go from there. But first I got to check it on the bike and see how that compares to the current seat. And if it doesn't match perfectly, that's okay. Like a little bit of brown difference is fine. I think the seat has a little bit more reddish to it, but we'll see.